Okay, let's get ourselves ready to begin creating this chat bot or this GPT chat app. So we're just going to call this Chat GPT or whatever you want to call it. I'm going to click OK on that, and we're going to get ready to get this going. So the first thing we need to do is we need to bring our components in and get ready. So first things first, with this screen, I don't want to waste any kind of screen one on that. I don't want to waste any screen space. So I'm going to take off the title and make that invisible. If you want to keep it on, and you can call it, you could call it chat, with GPT or whatever, and put that back on. You're welcome to do that. Completely up to you. I'm going to turn mine off. And then with our alignments, with the horizontal, I'm going to center the horizontal alignment on the screen so that everything is sort of in the middle. With regards to the background color, it's up to you. White can sometimes be kind of boring, so if you want to switch it up to something like black or blue or whatever, feel free to do that. You can even customize that color if you want that blue to be a little bit darker. Feel free to do that. Okay. So your call, what you want to do in terms of your background and things like that. The next thing that I want to do is I do want to bring in some of my stuff. So I'm going to grab a button. And this first button is going to be a speak button. So I'm going to rename it. Instead of button 1, I'm going to call it speak button and click OK on that. And I'm going to leave most of the stuff alone. What I might do, though, is I might take the shape and make it rounded. And obviously the text, I'm going to type in something else like ask your question. So basically when we press this button, the microphone will turn on. We'll be able to speak, and it will then transcribe what we say in there. This other stuff, sort of up to you, how you want it to look. If you wanted to change the color of the button, you could change the color, and feel free to do whatever you want there. All right, the next element that we want to bring in is we do want to bring in a text box. And so this text box, when we bring this in, when we ask our question, it will fill in here what we say. All right, so with this text box, the background color for me as default is fine. I'll probably default or white, just leave it like that. And then with the text, everything kind of defaults about the text would be fine. With the width, I am going to do that to fill the parent so that it goes the whole width like this. With the hint, what that means is it's going to add some text in here, and it's going to say hint for text box 1. I don't want any text in there, so I'm going to delete that. Left alignment is fine. We do want it to be multi-line so that it will, if we have a long sentence in here or a long question, it will go into multiple lines for us. So make sure you check the multi-line there. Okay. The next thing that we want to do is bring in another button. So I'm going to drag this out, and this one is going to be our send button. So I'm going to rename this to send button and click OK on that. And with the send button, the background color, I might change that to green. Leave the fonts alone. All the height and width automatic is fine. No image. Shape, I might do rounded again. The text for this one is, I'm going to change this to send to ChatGPT. Text color, black looks fine. All this other stuff, visible and behavior enabled, yes and yes. Okay, so that looks pretty good. Now we're going to bring in another text box, and this text box is going to be where ChatGPT can send the response. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to rename this response text box and hit OK there. All right, so with this one, background color, again, I'll probably do white with the background color. Leave the fonts alone. The height, I'm going to make this bigger. So my height is probably going to be maybe 50% of the screen. And the width is going also to be fill parent, so it goes all the way, just so that we have more room for ChatGPT to send its response. Left alignment's good. Text color black is fine. Again, we want to go multi-line because you'll probably get a pretty long response depending on the question that you ask. So that looks pretty good for that. And the next element that I want to put in is a read the response button. And what this will do is when we press it, whatever ChatGPT sends back to us, this button will then we press on it, it will be read out loud for us. So we're going to add in a third button. We're going to rename this button, and let's call it like a read button. Read button. And I'll click OK there. And over here, I'm going to leave most of these default. I'll do the shape as rounded again. I might do the background color red, just something a little bit different. And then, yeah, the rest of the stuff's sort of up for you. Oh, the text, I'm going to change this to read the response. Whoops, hope if I spell it right. All right, just so that the user kind of knows. Okay. So that's what we need in terms of the visible elements, and it's again sort of up to you how you want to lay these out. We do need some non-visible elements to help us out here. So the first one that we're going to need, I think we're going to look in media here, is we are going to need the speech recognizer. So we're going to bring that out. We're going to drop it in, but it's going to be a non-visible component down here, and that is fine. So that's what's going to basically be able to hear what we say, and it'll send it to Google servers, and it will translate that to text for us. So the speech recognizer will do that. The next thing that we're going to need is text-to-speech. We're going to drag that out and put this in here. It's going to drag down there. And that's the same kind of thing. So when we get our response from ChatGPT, it'll be able to read that text and speak it out loud. The third thing we're going to need is an experimental component. So if we kind of scroll down here on the side to experimental, there is this chatbot, and we're going to bring this out. Now we get this little warning that this is an experimental feature which may change in the future. So hopefully it won't. It's actually pretty cool. I'm going to click OK on that. Now a quick warning about this chatbot. So this is going to send out to ChatGPT, and sometimes ChatGPT you're going to need an API key, which you can actually get for free. So you can see our provider here is ChatGPT. You can get the API key for free. When I ran this the first time I wrote it, it worked fine without the API key. So if we start having that issues, we can certainly sort of talk about where you get that from. But essentially, you would be able to create an account with ChatGPT, and you'll get your API key that way. For right now, let's leave this stuff blank here. And hope that it works. And if it doesn't, we'll talk about how to go there. With this other things, obviously here, the country, we would kind of go with the USA. The language is going to be English, okay? The pitch and speech rate, I would just leave those as 1. There's no problem there. And then with the speech recognizer, just use legacy is fine, okay? So we should now have everything that we need. And as far as our layout, what you can start to do now is if you want to start playing around a little bit with the color scheme, you can go to, for example, screen 1, and if you want to change your background color back to white, and then you could take your text box here, and your background color here could be black, but your text could be white. You could start doing stuff like that to sort of give it a different feel. It's completely up to you. You sort of lay out the color scheme that you want with regards to your app, the way you want it to look. I'm going to go back the other way. I'm going to take this color and go back to I'm going to go back to white. I'm going to do my text and make sure I do it back. Just make sure that your text and your background contrast with each other. And with my screen 1, I might go ahead and change the background color to something else. You can mess around with this however you want and make it look however you want. Okay, so I would encourage you to play around a little bit. If you don't want to see the status bar, you can also take that off, so it's just your ChatGPT, or you can bring the title back up and sort of do that however you want to do it. All right, so get your app laid out, and in the next video, we'll talk about the programming.